in a busy world where sleep often feels optional, but the truth is, sleep is essential to good health. Today on Healthy Conversations, we're joined by Sherry Clounch, nurse practitioner, to talk about why sleep is not a luxury, how it affects everything from your heart and mental health to your weight and immune system, and when poor sleep is a sign you shouldn't ignore. This is a conversation many of us need. So, Sherry, you are a nurse practitioner at Tanner Community Care out in the Tanner area. Let's just get started. Before we talk about sleep, tell us a little bit about yourself and being a nurse practitioner and kind of who patients that you take care of.
Sure. Um, like she said, I'm Sherry Clounch, been nurse practitioner for a long time, been in the hospital system since I was 17 years old. Started as a phlebotomist way back when.
All right. So, are you a good stick?
I am. I can sick you. I can get it. But I've been doing this for a long time. It's my passion. It's what I love to do. It's what I feel I was put on this earth to do. Um, I'm a certified registered nurse practitioner. I specialize in adult geriatric acute care. So with a lot of initials behind my name, that generally means that I'm able to see the sickest of the sick in a hospital setting or an acute care setting, such as an urgent care, but I'm also able to see the people in a primary or ambulatory care setting. Currently, I work as the hospitalist at Athens Limestone Hospital. I've been there for 25 years. And I also just recently had an endeavor where I decided to go back into primary care. When I was in the hospital setting, I realized that when I seen him in the ER or I seen him as a hospitalist, I didn't get to follow them through. I always went home at night wondering, how did they do? Did they improve? Did they get better? And I always wanted to reach out, but you really can't do that in that kind of a setting. So I got back into primary care to get back into the community and to give,
Okay.
So, yeah, like I said, I love what I do. Love my girls at Tanner Clinic. They are amazing. Just shout out to them.
That's okay. That is okay. We like Tanner Community Care also as part of our system. Well, kind of tell us kind of in your experience as we talk about sleep, kind of what do you think is the biggest misconception about sleep?
Oh, that's easy. People think that they can catch up on sleep that they miss. You absolutely
never said
cannot.
that.
Me neither. I'm a prime example of that. I work as hospitalist and as a Tanner. So yeah, I'm doing dual roles. You can't catch up on the sleep that you miss. It's a biological factor. You lose that sleep. So you can say, okay, well, I'll work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll lose 2 or 3 hours sleep and I'll sleep on the weekends for 14, 15 hours. You can't. It doesn't work that way.
So, Sherry, explain to us what happens to your body, when you don't get enough sleep.
There's lots of things. It breaks down. I mean, the body keeps the score. It always, emotionally, mentally, physically. There's a lot of things that dysregulate when we don't get sleep. Our cognitive functioning declines, our immunity declines. Some of the things that, like sleep disorders, that can cause that too. So, I mean, it's just like a domino effect. You don't get enough sleep. You have brain fog. Your reaction time is slower. So those things, like I said, have a domino effect on your sleep.
I was a personal trainer in my past life. And
Oh, all right.
one of the things that we always talked about was recovery and sleep and things of that
Yes.
nature, So can you kind of tell us why that's considered a pillar of health?
I can, because all of our body systems depend on that regulation of that sleep cycle. So once you get the deep REM sleep, that restorative sleep is what helps your immune system blossom and fight those infections and stuff. If you don't get that restorative sleep, your body just doesn't work. And eventually over time, it won't.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about all the different stages of sleep. I wear this Garmin watch and I love to look at my sleep scores, and this is kind of off book. I'm just curious, is that accurate? Like when it tells you how much deep sleep and REM sleep and
I've been
everything
asked
you're
that
getting?
before.
I don't know if I want to know the answer because I love looking at it.
In some aspect, yes, it's better to know because then you're kind of cognizant of this is what's going on in my body, and maybe I need to talk to somebody
Yeah.
about it. Because if you're not getting that deep REM sleep, or you're not getting that N1 sleep,
Right.
your body doesn't function.
Yeah.
And it, like I said, it breaks down because of that. But are they accurate?
Well, and I do
Somewhat.
think it's hard for young mothers like Karina to really get that good sleep, because I know when I was a young mother, it's just there's that part of your brain that's kind of always awake.
You're just
and
waiting to hear the
always
monitor.
listening. Yeah, always kind of on the edge and listening. So, I kind of felt like I was never getting that really good sleep.
Probably because you weren't.
Yeah, I'll say it's interesting. You can
It felt
sleep
like
for
it.
8 hours and then still not
And
feel
a woman's
rested.
body adjusts to that over time. But
I've noticed that
eventually,
about myself, that I function
does.
a lot less sleep than
It
I
does.
used to.
and I say that the body can't keep up with your sleep, but for some reason, our hormones play a big part in that. We produce more hormones when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So I think that balances that out in the end.
Okay, well, speaking of sleep and how it can affect us, is it true that poor sleep can even affect things like blood pressure and lead to heart conditions?
It does. Sleep disorders disrupts our circadian rhythms, which play a major role in the cardiovascular timing and regulation of how our blood flows through our heart, through each chamber. It controls blood pressure and clotting factors, vascular tone and resistance. So over time, irregular sleep increases that morning blood pressure, surges, and the blood stickiness. So that's why you hear heart attacks and strokes happen during the morning, because you've had that cognitive rest all night, but then that blood pressure gets sticky, and that causes heart attacks and strokes more common.
That's interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, it leads to hypertension, atrial fibrillation, cardiovascular or coronary artery disease, congestive heart failure, and strokes. So yeah, that's huge. It is the single most risk factor in coronary prevention is good sleep.
Now, what would you say for someone that maybe has a job, maybe they work overnight or they have to work really extended hours? What is a good way for someone to take care of their sleep health? Or if they have a toddler?
Bless it.
Yes.
Good luck. Really, it's to get those good sleep habits in order. Healthy lifestyle, healthy environment. And the number one thing that we look at is people getting that downtime to downshift your cardiovascular system, your stress hormones and all that. That way you get that set up, and people understand that if you get like 5 to 10 minutes of quiet time before, and you got that sleep environment that's dark, and also use your bed for sleep and intimacy only, because that shifts your body into that, let's get rid of that fight or flight mode. Let's calm down, let's tone it, and it puts your body at that every night when you go there. Also sleeping at certain times. So if you go to bed 8 o'clock every night and you wake up at 6, do it on the weekends too, because that's really important to set those environment and have it every day the same way.
Mm-hmm. Kind of how, like, what's on my mind, of course, having a child, that's what you really think of when you have a little one. You think about their sleep constantly, right? And you're always thinking about being on a routine. So you're saying that's just as
That's
important
right.
into adulthood, making
very
sure
important.
you're still on that
It
routine.
sure is.
Yeah.
I say it's a cruel joke, that kind of gets played on us as we get older, because I'm one of those people who love my sleep and I love to sleep in the mornings. I stay up late, but I like to sleep in the mornings. But somehow over the last couple of years, I have noticed I cannot sleep in. I'm kind of, even when
That's
I have
exactly
no alarm
right.
set, I'm kind of automatically waking up.
Over time, that circadian rhythm that we're
Yeah.
talking about, we develop it and it gets more in tune the older we get. That's why, back when we were young, we could sleep different hours, but the older you get, the more your body gets in tune to that. So
Yeah. Well, I'll have to be honest, I kind of miss those long
I
morning
bet
sleeps.
you do.
I miss those.
I do
Well,
too.
Yeah. And I like that you brought up about the bed, sleeping in the bed. I know I've always heard, don't have a TV in your room because of that kind of thing. You sleep better when your bed knows it's time to go to sleep.
That's
And
right.
I'm kind of going through a little thing with my mother right now, who's had some health conditions that's going on that has caused her to have to move to her recliner to sleep.
Yeah.
And so for the last 4, probably going on 5 months, she has been in her recliner to sleep. So she is in her recliner all day.
Oh,
She is in
no.
her recliner at night
Yeah, that's not
sleeping.
good at all.
And we are trying to get her to get back to her bed, but she's kind of become comfortable in that role. And so for, an aging parent and someone who's alone, it's kind of hard to get them to get back in the bed. But we have had those conversations of you will sleep better, if we can
Yeah, and that's really
get you back
important to
in the
have
bed.
those
So we're
separate
trying
sleep
to do that.
spaces.
Yeah.
And I understand she's got some issues that she
Mhm.
can't, but yes, maybe,
Well, I think we're recovering. So I
Okay,
do
good,
think it's
good.
time to go back. So I
Yeah.
recognized, with the acid reflux because of the condition was
Huge.
causing to sleep in the recliner. But that
I had to
has kind
sleep
of
in a
gotten
recliner when I was pregnant
Yes,
sometimes.
for the same thing. Yes, my daughter did too for that
Yeah.
same thing. But I have, that seems to be under control now. So
Right,
it's kind
so
of like,
sometimes that
let's try to get back to
Yeah,
the bed.
sometimes that acid reflux can get that acid production coming up so bad. Sleeping on 2 pillows can help, not eating after 6 can help, not eating spicy foods. There's a lot of things, all those medical conditions like sleep apnea and, sometimes menopausal symptoms. We know we've been there.
Yeah.
I'm still there. But, yeah, those really matter. So getting to your healthcare provider and letting them know that this is what's going on so they can fix that will help with that. But as you were talking about screens, huge, huge.
We're all
I
guilty.
cannot tell you.
Scrolling before bed.
So it's either that scrolling, but people think,
Yes.
well, okay, well, if I leave the TV on at night, I'll still be able to sleep. That helps me sleep. But that's not true because you're not getting into those deep REM sleep. Because what your body is doing is it's resting, but your mind's trying to keep up with that flickering of the lights. And every time the scene changes on TV, your body's trying to figure that out and your mind's trying to figure that out. So, yeah, it's going to keep you up. You're going to get fragmented sleep.
Don't
Another
like
one
it, but
is
it makes sense.
Yeah, another
Yeah.
one's alcohol.
How long before bed do you
Yeah,
say to
and
put that phone away?
An hour.
An hour.
1 hour.
Oh, that's so hard, isn't it?
Yeah, read a book. Pick you up a
Yeah.
good book.
Yeah.
Or just quiet time.
I feel like especially my generation has really turned into that's so common. It's like your doom scroll time is what I call it. And, that's like my me time is a little bit before bed and I just get to scroll and
And I
be
get that.
mindless
I
and,
get
and
that
not think.
too,
But
but it is
reading
one of
does
the
the same
worst
thing.
things. It's
Yeah.
one of the worst things. Anything that has a screen
Yeah.
is going to deflect your mind into looking at that screen and thinking, okay, it's kind of tricking me into it's awake time because it's bright.
Yeah.
Even if you turn down to the dim, you're still having to think about it.
Right.
So yeah,
It's
I
not
think
as mindless as we all think it
It's
is.
not.
huh?
Yeah. Well, and I'll have to admit from a marketing standpoint, if you go on and you go to post things and you want it to hit during the prime times,
Yep.
the prime times are going to be 7:00 and 9 p.m.
Right. It's our
It
downtime.
is.
It's when you're done putting the kids to bed or wherever you finally sit back and
Yeah.
breathe for a second.
I'm guilty of it myself, but then I have to remind myself there's other things like mindfulness, deep muscle relaxation, meditation. Sometimes we have to get away from those non-pharmacological things that can help us do it. And exercising. If you exercise during the day and you get some cardiovascular fitness in there, it'll actually put you more in a stage to where you want to sleep. Just be mindful when you do that it needs to be at least 3 hours before you go to sleep because it has to have time for that adrenaline to stop surging.
To come down.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all good. And a lot of that is stuff that's like we know, we just kind of have to be reminded. It's good
Absolutely.
to be
Or just reminded of
We
the
know,
risks,
we
of all
know,
the
but you just-
risks.
yeah, exactly what it is. Well, and talking about the risk, like we talked about the heart disease, the blood pressure, those kind of things. But what about our mental health and our emotional well-being? How does that lack of sleep impact those things?
Tremendously. Our body is so used to having constant attention, constant awareness, constantly going, that it needs that restorative sleep. If you don't get that restorative sleep, it starts affecting your cognitive ability to make decisions, to rationalize my fight or flight mode. And a lot of times what that does is it surges in all these hormones that cause serotonin and dopamine levels to increase. And And then you have no idea, do I make that fight or flight decision? Am I safe enough to sleep? And you start having these negative receptor sites coming through there. And those negative receptor sites actually act on that anxiety and depression. People with insomnia are 17% more keen to having anxiety issues. So a long-time effects of sleep deprivation cause depression, cause negative thought patterns to loop through your head. So yeah, it is so important, especially for people that have those kind of things.
Yeah. So better sleep quality or better sleep quantity?
Both. So quantity is important, but quality is more important. So quantity is, I'm laying in bed, I've had this time to rest. It's a time thing. Quality is how deep am I getting that sleep? So you have to get into that REM to even affect your circadian cycles. So if you don't get into that REM and have that restorative sleep, you're not going to get any kind of benefit from it. So quantity, quality, both are important, but it's better to have 10 hours of quality sleep than 7 hours. Wait, that's backwards.
Yeah, backwards. I was following you. Better to have
Right.
7 hours
Yeah.
of quality
Quality
than
than
10
Right.
hours.
and 10
And I'll
hours
say,
of
I've
quantity.
seen
That's
that
correct.
exactly in my life. So I told you I track my sleep sometimes on my watch. My sister got the same watch. I'll put her on the spot, but she would send me her sleep scores. So she's single, lives alone. She's a teacher. She has a pretty good routine,
Yeah.
and she'll sleep like 10 hours a night, and she'll send me her sleep score that she gets like no deep sleep. Whereas I slept maybe 6 hours that night, but I got a bunch of deep sleep. So my sleep score was like higher than hers. And I was like, what? Why are you not sleeping? You don't even have a kid. Like you need to
Yeah.
take advantage of this
Well, your
time to
body's
sleep.
compensating.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You're exhausted, so your body has no choice.
Yeah.
like I gotta
get
compensate for
6
that.
really good hours. Okay. And-
Well, you go into a lot deeper sleep.
yeah.
Yeah, because you need it more right now.
Right. It's
And your
just very
body knows that.
interesting to see because I would have never thought that she wasn't getting that deep sleep. I was always
Right.
like, why are you still so
Right.
tired after you slept 10 hours? I would die to get
Does she
10
drink
hours.
alcohol? Right? Well, I don't
No.
want to tell her that.
You're fine. She doesn't. No.
Yeah.
So she's been going to doctors and such to try to figure it out.
Well, a
but
lot
yeah,
of
it's
people
very
think that
interesting.
alcohol puts them to sleep, but that you know what?
nightcap.
It might put you to sleep, but you're going to get fragmented sleep. It's not a true sleep, and it overall it does temperature regulation. So when your temperature is up, down, up, down, up, down, you're going to toss and turn all night long. So it's a horrible fragmented sleep that you get from alcohol. Yes, it may knock you out, but you're not going to get good rest.
Well, I mean, I've definitely found that the exercise, like what you were talking about, I mean, if I've had an opportunity to exercise during the day, and I know you will agree with that, if I've had that opportunity, I know I sleep better at night.
Absolutely. We all do.
My body's ready to sleep.
Plus, we could all use it. So.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's important in cardiovascular risk is just as much
Yeah.
is to
Okay.
get that.
I get that. So we talked about the mental health and all that, but now what about weight, metabolism?
Oh, yeah. So sleep affects that consistently because you have increased ghrelin. So sleep deprivation causes increased ghrelin levels.
Ghrelin?
Ghrelin, that
Okay.
is your hunger hormone. That's the little thing in your tummy that makes you rumble and gets you hungry. So ghrelin with sleep deprivation increases it, and it releases more stress cortisol hormone as well as ghrelin, and leptin levels are lowered with sleep deprivation. Leptin is that I feel good feeling, I'm full, I'm satisfied, the satiety levels. So once that sleep deprivation is over a long period of time, that starts building up and you get insulin resistance. You get surges of hormones, cortisol, and that in turn leads to weight gain.
Yeah.
So it's really important to get those levels equal. The best way you can do that is by eating high protein, getting plenty of sleep, and taking care of any sleep disorders that are disrupting that cycle.
So I'd like to change gears to, sleep and our immunity. So, we've talked about, we touched on it a little bit here earlier. So how important is, sleep, and how does that play a role in building our immune system? What's the role of that?
That's a really good question, and it's true. That's why I always say the body keeps the score, because with your sleep deprivation, your immune cycles are at an all-time high. So you start developing T cells, which help fight those infections. And memory and utilization come from sleep. So once you get all that, I guess, sort of introduced into that system, then your body remembers that pathogen that comes in there and it tries to destroy it. It remembers it. If you don't have good sleep and you don't get that memory enhancement during those deep cycles, the body will not recognize that pathogen again when it comes in there, and it's going to do the exact same thing. So it builds immunity. So it's really important to get that sleep for that.
Okay.
Good point.
Yeah, very, very good point. So when do we need to seek help for sleep? And and I know there's a large growth in the sleep, I don't know, medical community now. We all know somebody who's on a, CPAP. Yeah, it's got sleep apnea and are using mouth tape, or the investment in pillows.
Right.
I have invested money
Me too,
into
several.
pillows, and it's hard. And you look at mattress commercials. We as a society have definitely started investing in sleep. So I guess kind of my question is, so when do we recognize that we need to seek help for sleep, or that it may be the cause of an underlying
Right.
medical condition?
So anytime it starts disrupting your mood, your regulation, chronic daytime fatigue, snoring. Snoring's huge. People think, well, snoring's okay. It's a misconception. It's usually not. It's usually an indicator of an underlying medical condition. People that snore often, they wake up with that dry mouth, or they feel like they're exhausted all day long and they have that excessive yawning. It's usually from sleep apnea. If somebody, we do a cage screening, which tells us, exactly if you've got that bigger round neck, if you've got a shorter neck, people that are overweight, all those are risk factors for sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is actually when your body stops breathing at night and then starts again. So you're talking about oxygen deprivation. You're robbing your brain of essential oxygen that keeps it functioning. So over time, that sleep apnea is actually going to decrease memory, decrease cognitive functioning, and it can kill you. It can actually kill you. You can die of sleep apnea.
Yeah, people definitely don't take it seriously enough. You hear people kind of
They
make
do
jokes
not.
about a spouse snoring or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's just funny or lighthearted. But if it's chronic like that, and it's not just, when you're sick,
That's
then
exactly right. And there's also functions in your mouth. So the way that your jaw sits forward, the way that your tongue sits at the base of your throat. So those things also have some impact on it. People that have temperature regulations, people that have not just the snoring part, but their regulations in their sleep aren't effective. You can look at hypothyroidism. They have this rapid weight gain or rapid weight loss, hyperthyroidism. So thyroid disorders, endocrine disorders, diabetes plays a role in that. So yeah, all of those underlying sleep conditions are important to get investigated because
Kind of a
they
wicked
cause a
cycle
huge.
that starts with
It
sleep.
is. It's a huge
Yeah.
cycle, and
Yeah.
it disrupts that circadian rhythm, and that's so important.
Well, I have two girls, and the first one, it was like I would have to go in her room and almost put my hand on her to hear if she was sleeping. She slept so quietly. And then the second one came along, and it's like you could hear her from the door. And she just has a very small nasal area,
Uh-huh.
and she has large tonsils. So it was like,
So my grandson had the same thing. He had his adenoids out when he was 3 because he snored like a grown man.
yeah.
I mean, we recorded it to take
Mhm.
to the doctor because he's like, well, no, all kids snore just a little bit. He goes, oh, no, that's like a grown man.
Yeah.
So we had his tonsil or his adenoids taken out. 3 years later, they grew back. By the way, adenoids can grow back, especially in young children. So he had a tonsillectomy, adenoidectomy, and a sinus reconstruction 4 months ago. He's snoring again.
Wow.
So they are having him tested for sleep apnea. He's
Okay.
7.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not
def-
just limited to
not.
adults.
No.
It's
no.
less prevalent in children, but it is there.
Wow. Wow. Well, I love my sleep. So
Me too.
I'll take any of the treatment options or lifestyle changes that you can suggest for better sleep. So,
Well, I can tell you, most people don't know what the average sleep people should get. So ages 14 all the way up to 17 should be getting 8 to 11 hours. After the age of 18 all the way to 64, it should be 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day. Women require a little bit more just because of our hormone surges. And then after the age of 65, they should be getting 7 to 8 hours. So it only reduces by 1 hour. People think, well, older people don't need as much sleep. No, they need it more because they're getting disrupted by frequent urination at night,
yeah.
getting up, arthritis pain. That pain is really prevalent in those older generations. So just because they don't require as much doesn't mean that they don't need that restorative sleep as
No,
well.
and for women, we get that hip thing, whatever that thing is that starts happening when you get older. And so, you're having to roll over multiple times during the night to try to get rid of that hip pain.
Yeah. And like I said, we were talking about earlier, is that exercise is really important. Establishing that sleep environment's important, as well as the sleep timing. That's what we were talking about. Also, like I said, the meditation stuff. Things work if you actually do what you're supposed to. All of us are guilty of not.
Well, I learned so much on these podcasts, but I also feel like I get my toes stepped on quite a bit.
You're not the only one.
Quite a bit too. So, well,
I know all this information and
Yeah.
I don't follow it all.
So in closing, just kind of a last question: naps, good naps, naps bad,
Good power naps.
Good
So
power
power naps during the day are fine. 20 to 30 minutes, no more than 30 minutes, because that does disrupt that circadian cycle. But yes, I mean, sometimes they're necessary, especially if you've done a lot of things, you're exhausted, you've had a lot of activity over the week, your kids are playing ball, you're doing housework, you're working full time. So yeah, sometimes our body knows. Our body, like I said, it keeps the score, so it knows when it needs that rest. And if it's telling you to take a nap, it's usually a reason.
Well, my oldest daughter and I have had these conversations several times because she can't 30-minute nap. She can't hour nap. Like, if she's going to take a nap, it's going to be a 2-hour
My
nap.
husband's the same way. I'm a power napper, and
Yeah,
he's
me
like a
too.
2-hour napper.
But the power naps are the best because they don't disrupt that circadian cycle. The people that sleep those 2 and 3 hours are likely going to have problems going to sleep that night.
When I was in college, you had those little breaks between classes, and it wouldn't be tons, but it'd be a little bit of a break. I got used to going to my car and sleeping for like 15 minutes, between classes or something. And it was, and I had a lady that I worked with one time who she took a nap on her lunch hour every day. She had a little pillow in her office, and she would eat she was very healthy. She would eat her salad, she would shut her door, and she would sleep during her lunch hour. And she would set her little phone alarm on her watch or whatever it was. And when it'd go off, she would open her door, and that was it. But she was going to take a nap every day during lunch.
Like I said, your body knows.
Yep.
Everybody is different, so everybody requires a little bit more sleep than others, even though those are the recommended guidelines. Your body knows how much it needs. And sometimes we just ignore our body's signals. So
Yeah. Well,
over time, it puts a lot of stress and wear and tear in our hearts.
yeah. Yeah. I know that's one of those situations we've had discussions with my husband with his heart was
Yeah.
about his sleep. And of course, we've had people on that's talked about testosterone and how it'll decrease when you
Uh-huh.
have enough sleep and things like that. So it is tied. So we all
Yeah.
need that little kind of slap on our hand to get
Balance
back into
out our system. That's
yeah,
right.
in our sleep. So, well, thank you so much for
Well,
coming
you're
and
welcome.
talking to us about this. I mean, obviously, sleep is not a luxury, but it is a necessity.
That's
So,
true.
thank
Very
you.
true. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry, for helping our community understand why sleep truly matters and when it's time to seek help. Conversations like this remind us that taking care of ourselves starts with the basic. Let's keep talking, learning, and growing toward better health together. Join us next week on Healthy Conversations.